Welcome back to Terror by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, I want to record this before I go to work this morning. And I got to drive into work, so it'll be a little bit of a commute. And I want to get a jump on it. Alright, so no real new updates regarding Charlie Kirk, other than some additional videos emerged showing a figure on a rooftop. And during that was lying in wait, and one of the students, I believe, filmed it. It was commenting, it's like, oh, I see somebody on the roof. Just saying, just saying, there's somebody up there. Well, now you know. If you see something, say something. Another video, I think right around the time of the shooting, you could see, as somebody was panning, you could see a figure stand up on the roof and was moving away, moving off from the edge of the roof towards the center, going out of shot. And I believe the FBI has released information. They believe the shooter was on the roof and took a single shot at Charlie Kirk. So you could describe the shooter as a sniper, because that would be the best description. The shooter did show patience in taking their shot. Likely probably took the shell casing too from the single shot. You know, if you're going to take the shot, you probably are going to grab that one bit of evidence and not leave that there and move on. And as we record this at 6:30 in the morning Pacific time, the shooter is still at large. And then when I woke up this morning, a couple minutes before my alarm went off, I dozed back off, but as I was waking up again, when the alarm did go off, the words White Street and Downing Street came to mind. Didn't know what that meant, so I looked it up. Because I'm thinking England with Downing Street, because I believe that's where the Prime Minister residence is. And White and Downing Street are two streets in a district for Herbert Hoover. This is just random ramblings right now. Herbert Hoover. So I looked up. There's a mention of a Herbert Hoover building. That's where the Secretary of Commerce is. That's Howard Lutnick. Any link to it? Maybe. But I was thinking Herbert Hoover. I was thinking J. Edgar Hoover, which is where the FBI headquarters is. So I'll be curious to see if there's any link between the FBI, Howard Lutnick, and hell, let's just throw British intelligence in there too. Again, ramblings of a madman. It's likely nothing, but it's just an interesting little rabbit hole that I get led in sometimes. But right now, let's focus on the energy for the search for the shooter of Charlie Kirk, how that's going. And while this shooter is still at large. Again, this is for entertainment purposes only. The FBI is doing the work. And I was about to say, in gathering the evidence, they're doing their work. The challenge with the work is basically finding useful witnesses to help them with the work. I think they're really struggling with this part of it, or that's the real struggle. But they're putting a lot of effort in trying to find this. Now, when my brother did the reading, we got all sorts of coins cards, which could also let you wonder, as they do the work, is this a murder for hire type of situation? But I think they are taking this shooting very seriously and personally almost. In the past, you got the chariot card. This is what the FBI does best. Driving, doing the footwork, driving investigations forward. And usually in a very methodical way. That's the past. That's the current situation. The King of Wands is the current situation. This is going to be about the leadership. The agency works as the leadership works. Now, is this Kash Patel providing that leadership? Or is there another person in the FBI that's going to provide that leadership? Maybe even the lead investigator. I'll have to keep an eye on this one for lead investigators of the FBI. Overarching energy is the Nine of Coins. Well, they'll say follow the money. This could also be the evidence, valuable evidence being found. This could be looking for associates of the shooter. This could be looking for evidence left by the shooter. This could be there's a money link to the shooter from somebody with wealth. Or I don't know if the shooter themselves would be wealthy. Lesson to be learned is the Two of Coins. I guess to me this is again in that hunt for evidence. it takes time to gather it and then try and link it together. Outcome is the Four of Wands. That's actually useful. New clues, or the manhunt spreads. But this is good. I think this is like them. This is like getting the person, put them behind bars. Let's get a clarifier. Queen of Cups. They might get an informant that tells them something, or they're keeping information they have really quiet right now. King of Cups. These cards came up yesterday as emotional manipulation and such, and just worried about what's happening next. I think maybe like the psychology unit's looking into this person, but there's concern that this shooter will act again. And it could be the shooter's suffering from some type of mental health condition. And by that I mean like PTSD, that sort of thing. Or Trump derangement syndrome. In looking at the news, right-wing media across the world is condemning the left, the ultra-radical left, for this. There's absolutely no evidence to support that this person was a leftist, a progressive, a radical socialist, Marxist, Stalinist, or anything along those lines. We simply do not know. We don't have the shooter's name. We have no access to the social media or to friends or family or anybody who could provide that information. So any of that speculation from political figures who get hurt is reckless. And heaven forbid for them if this shooter turns out to be somebody on the far right, not on the far left, because the behavior shown is much more typical of that of the far right. I'm not saying the person is, I'm just saying that's what the behavior is typical of. As the manhunt spreads, what's the killer thinking right now as the manhunt is going on for them? Minor death card. This is the same card I got for the United Healthcare shooter. They left behind some evidence, or some evidence gets found that they missed, despite their good planning. And they did plan. They were methodical. They worked this thing through here. The strength card, something that they're good at. There's that card again. And I say again because it came up. It's like there's like a MAGA influence and the Wheel of Fortune. The cards I were getting before were really linking the energy between Charlie Kirk, the shooter, and like Donald Trump is really similar. I think the mindset of the shooter, they could have left evidence, but this is something that what they did they're good at. They might have some regrets about what they did, but it was a job. It was a job they were being paid for in a MAGA ideology, and they would do it again. Now, if they did leave evidence, it's strong evidence against them that could be used to build the case against them. And again, I just think this person is MAGA in that regard. Wheel of Fortune, building a case. So it could be an overlap with that one. It could be that. And the other vibe I get is like this was like their one shot at getting somebody. They want to do more, but they may not be able to do it. The next one if there was another thing out there. So that could be any one of three things. Paid to do a job that they're really good at, and they're going to do it again. Maybe they feel like they may not be able to do it again. It's possible they left evidence behind. That's strong evidence that'll be used to build a case against them. Fingerprints, a fingerprint somewhere. It would be something like closed circuit TV, sort of capturing what the person was wearing And then as they work backwards through garages and in campus and dorms and things like that, they'll see this person was drinking a water bottle. And they toss it in a bin, and then they fish that bottle out and get DNA evidence and a fingerprint or something like that. Then they can link that person to the scene. Something. I'm not saying that's what it's going to be, but it would be something like that. No, not like direct, but it would be linking. Will the FBI and law enforcement capture the shooter? For Carter. Knight of Wands. It's progressive. It won't be right away because they're working on it, but it's going to be a slow progress. They do intend on bringing this person to justice. They have a lot of people working on it. They're making progress. They're definitely making progress. But the other thing is, as time goes by, there's going to be less and less clues. And as more time goes by, the killer has more time to put distance between them and the investigators. Underneath it all is the King of Cups. It's, you know what, they might be working on it also, as they're doing this manhunt, they might be working on a psychological profile of the shooter. King of Cups. And it might also just be that the King of Cups could represent a stoic, emotionless passion for doing the job. You don't want people being frantic. You want them to be cold, calculated, almost robotic in their processing of this. Treat it with urgency, but like any other case. Will the shooter be caught? Given the current energy right now, yeah, there's that card just flipped over. It was the Wheel of Fortune. Will that person be caught? It may not be determined yet, but I think it also means eventually yes. That could also mean identified, if not caught, because maybe they unalive themselves. Will their shooter be caught? Three of Wands. This could be eventually, or the person goes overseas. Six of Cups. This reminds me of going overseas to Europe. Page of Pentacles. Nine of Coins. There it is again. Will this person be caught? The vibe I got is the person's overseas. They've been getting help, financial help from a financial backer, going to Europe, or more like Eastern Europe. King of Cups. This King of Cups is an interesting card. It's a connector card between the manhunt and that. Now, that's if the person's fleeing, this might be the destination they were choosing to go to. Will they capture him? It's possible as they get close, the person takes their own life rather than spend a life in prison. As they get close, maybe there's some information or somebody offers up something. Sibling, something along those. There could be a family connection too that offers somebody up. It's not clear to me that they're going to capture the. I'll just say right now the energy is confusing. Right now I think there's multiple different paths. I just almost feel like, well, let's do a yes or no card. I almost feel like they're just not going to get the person alive. Will the FBI bring in the shooter for Charlie Kirk? Will they bring him in alive? Almost like, will they survive to trial? I'm going to pause there as my screen was freezing. Will the FBI bring this person in alive? Maybe a shootout? Ace of Swords. There's Justice. The Minor Death card. And the person's sneaking off. I don't know. I mean, it's like there's like this feeling like Okay, to me, this is like the reward. When they offer the big enough reward, they'll get information in. But the Ten of Swords is bringing things to a close with the minor death card. Justice and sneaking off. I don't know if they bring him in alive. I don't get the vibe that they do. Now, it could be a shootout. It could be that the trail goes cold and they just can't find the person he snuck off. Protected by money. I'm not convinced that they do. Again, that's current energy here. Or it could also be it's just one of those things that the shooter goes to a country where he can't be extradited back to the United States. Again, if it was if it was somebody from like the Russian mob or something like that, and they go back to Russia, they can't. There's no extradition treaty between Russia and the United States. So it feels like they identify this person. They pretty much they'll figure out they know who it is. They just may not be able to bring them to justice in the United States. Current energy, we'll see. I'll be happy to be wrong on this one. And the police, by the time this one loads up, they announce that they've arrested the proper suspect. And the reason why I want to know who the suspect, I want to know more information of what motivated the suspect. Did somebody pay him? Who they were linked to? Because that's going to be key for resolving the conflict in the U.S. right now. Because right now the assumption is that this is some radical left person, and the facts may be very different. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video.